When you're in a classroom,
When you are in an office environment,
when you are at a construction site,
When you are in a mall, you see people of both genders. This is Murad Afzal from Bahrain Polytechnic, and I'm going to talk about gender equality.
as per the European Institute of Gender Equality, the definition of gender equality implies that the priorities, needs, and interests of both men and women are considered. However, as per the United Nations goal number 5 of gender equality, it is not only gender equality, it implies empowerment of women and all girls. Now, this issue does not belong to a century old time period or two centuries old. This is a very long, probably more than millennium old issue. Men, being generally physically strong, have always treated women differently. And this is not across just a small portion of the world. This has been all around the world. It has gone in different continents, in Northern America, even in Southern America, in Europe, in the Middle East, in the Far East. Back in 19th century, in the United States, women's suffrage, or the rights of women to vote, was established in the United States over the course of the late 19th and early 20th century. The first various states and localities, then nationally in 1920, with the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the United States, gave them the right to vote. The demand for women's suffrage began to gather strength in 1840s, emerging from the boarding movement of women's right in 1848. When it came to UK and European countries, things were not much different for women. In the 18th century was a tumultuous time for women's rights. Though women could work, they did not enjoy nearly all the luxuries and rights as men. Women could not vote, own land while married, go to a university, earn equal wages, enter many professions, and even report serious cases of domestic abuse. Women who were found to be argumentative or radical could deal with cruel, humiliating public penalties. But this is, I'm talking about like 18th century only. If we go far way back into medieval times, medieval women treated differently under the law of men depending on whether or not they were married. In the medieval English law, an unmarried woman was under the authority of her father or brother or another male relative, and their representative would be that male person for her in the court case or any property deals or any other legal issues. After moving from the far west, from US into Europe and UK, we can go to Middle East, but I'll come back to that later. First, we'll go to Far East and then probably in Australia as well. Far East, like countries like Japan and China, they have histories that go far away in the history. So in the 8th century, Japan had an empress. In the 12th century, during the Heian period, women in Japan could inherit property in their own names and manage it by themselves. Women could own property, be educated, and were allowed, if discreet, to take lovers. This is Japan in 8th century CE. I mean, wow, that's a different approach when it comes to gender equality and especially empowerment of women. After Japan, we will go to another Far Eastern old ancient country or civilization, the Chinese. Received from Chinese historiography and ancient China, was edited heavily by Confucian scholars in the 4th century BCE, who aimed to show the dynastic system of government extended as far back into the past as possible. These texts, like the Zuo Zhuan and classic of poetry, focus on male nobles and scholars, with infrequent references to women. One exception is the biographies of exemplary women, compiled in the 1st century BCE as a collection of cautionary tales for men, highlighting the advantages of virtuous women as well as the dangers posed by losers ones. The majority of women included were members of nobility and were generally depicted as passive. Now, we have discussed the Far East, we've discussed the Far West, we've discussed the Europe. Let's quickly touch on Australia. Australia, right now, is among the top countries with domestic violence issues and rape cases. As per the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare, 1 in every 6 women suffer from physical, sexual violence, and economic abuse, and 1 in 4 women suffer emotional abuse. Now, after all this, we'll come to Middle East because that's where we are right now, right? We're in the Middle East, we're in Bahrain. Now, in the Middle East, things were not much different than Europe. In the Arab world, in 500 AD and 600 AD, the girls, when they were born, they were buried alive. That was part of the culture. Whereas in 600s, when Islam flourished in the Arab world, they liberated women, they gave them rights, they gave them seniority in some places than men. And the protection for women's rights started for the Middle East over there.
Now let me bring him back to the women.
God made woman to be the proper companion of man. She is different, but equal.
Equal! We buy them, feed them, clothe them, use them, discard them. Women equal to us?
God created man from 1 male and 1 female. Amr, you must respect in all women the womb that bore you.
After the liberation of women by Islam in the Middle East, we have many recognizable women, people who are working at higher positions. For example, the first female judge appointed in the Middle East was in Palestine, and there was a lady called Khulud Faqih. She became the judge in 1999, and within Middle East, Bahrain was the first country to have a first female judge as well. When it comes to the first female leader of the state was appointed in Pakistan back in 1988. Her name was Benazir Bhutto. So based on that, a lot of women got recognition, and in Bahrain, a lot of women are having equal rights. In fact, in some places they are having higher rights, and the government is helping a lot to the women who are suffering from gender inequality in some places, if there are any. Now, as per the UN article on gender equality, there is a question that are there any other gender related challenges? Of course, there are always gender related challenges. For example, if I want to get my car repaired in Bahrain, I would prefer to go to a male mechanic. But if I want a nurse or an air hostess, I would definitely prefer a female nurse to take care of me, because generally women are caring. So there are always gender-related challenges. But when it comes to my personal life, I deal equally. How I deal with my wife and how she deals with me. When it comes to my children, I treat them equally.